Hey guys, it's Brendan with EVOQ.BIKE. Episode 3. We're going to jump into, I lied, I said Johnson City Omnium. We're actually going to do race tactics because somebody hit me up with some general questions that I think would be more appropriate to go over first, and then we'll jump into Johnson City Omnium because I was talking to somebody about the big monster climb and a couple scenarios that could go down, but it'll be better if we can reference this one as well. So, question 1. He kind of sent me a long paragraph that happens to have 4 Cat 4 questions, so we'll hit him up just as one big one. Question 1. I wonder if you could spend some time on some strategy/tactics for those just cutting their teeth. Specifically, what are the first race tactics to master as an individual if you have no team in the race? Great question. And I actually think racing as an individual is extremely beneficial because you don't deal with the I'm racing for this person, or we're putting this person in the break today. Some of the comments that you hear Cat 4 or 5s talk about that don't really happen, so we'll get to that. But racing as an individual, you want to first start understanding, how do you research other riders? Who's in your race? Can you find out anything about the riders that you're going to be competing against? When you get to the race, you have to somehow size people up a little bit. Because you're in a Cat 4, Cat 5 race, there might be varying degrees of rider. You might have a mountain biker who's just coming over the road who's going to crush everybody. If you see a guy with huge, massive legs, looks really fit, has a dialed bike, he might be good. He might also not be so good. So as the race quickly starts, you need to try and take an inventory of like who's in the race. Lower level races oftentimes are like a group ride until the very end. So this is a great time. Why don't you test to see if you can break away from the group, and maybe a couple people come with you, and maybe you guys just ride faster than everybody and it becomes a who's stronger contest. There's really no strategy to that. You also want to learn. People will say, man, I saw the move going, I got boxed in. You boxed yourself in. Part of the chess match is always being in a position to launch. So if you find yourself where it's like, hey, I can't go forward and I can't go right, I can only go left, go left and like get in a different position. While you don't want to be riding on the front, you need to be very close to the front so that if something goes, you can quickly get around somebody. Don't be scared to ride in a little bit of gravel on the side of the road to get around a group and go hammer up the road with somebody, because all the other Joes might be sitting there looking at each other and you're gone with 2 other people, never to be seen again. So I think really the race tactic and keeping these videos this could be episodes 6, 7, 8, or 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 through 20. Tactics is half of the race. Listen to Justin Williams, who just said in a recent podcast like 3 months ago, you can get really fast. That's half of it. The other half is learning how to race. So what are the first tactics? Go race and learn like the dance, learn the flow, learn what does it look like when a group is dead set on chasing you down and you know that I can't get away from that. So 2 things. You have to learn, what does it look like when a group's really chasing you down? Also, how fast can you go? Like, how fast do you need to be going to stay away from people? What does it look like when people look tired? How do people ride when they're tired? And it's not as applicable to, that scared the hell out of me, Lala. It's not as applicable to like a shorter Cat 4 race, but like, did you watch how the guy was pedaling in the first 10 miles versus how he's pedaling now at mile 65? His face might say, I'm not in pain, but you're like, dude, you look like a mess. So there's a lot of cues. You just need to pick up on like other people. You're watching everybody else. You're not watching your power meter. So hopefully there's like 5 points in there that you can take some of those to understand racing as an individual. Question 2, new inexperienced team, which is all of you because you're Cat 4s and 5s. So if anyone says that they're like an experienced Cat 5 team, walk away. Those are the guys that haven't been able to win. And that's not a diss, but they're like a Cat 4 telling you everything about bike racing. That's like getting medical advice from a doctor who failed biology. That would probably be bad advice. So, new, inexperienced team with wide degree of variability in fitness and experience. This is a big point. I hear new racers discussing this all the time after races, and most new racers have no idea what to try out there. So a lot of people don't try stuff because we're nervous about failing. We're nervous about going out and blowing up at the line. That's what you got to do. Bike racing, to get better, is checking your ego at the door and trying stuff, figuring it out. And the more group rides, people are going to kill me for saying this, that you can do within your training calendar, so you're not doing only group rides, but learning the skills of can you sprint against people, or can you only win out of a group of 5? Can you break away on a 5-minute climb, but maybe you still kind of suck at 10-minute climbs? So maybe you need more FTP, or maybe it's vice versa, you need more VO2 max. Understanding what you can do and who you are as a rider, with the knowledge that that's going to change over time as you continue to train. The things that you're good at as a Cat 5, you might not be great at as a Cat 1. I thought I was going to be a climber because I just happened to be better at climbing than other Cat 5s in my local area. I'm 83 kgs, 82 kgs, 81 if I lie. I mean, it's, you just got to understand that you're going to develop as an athlete. So continue to look at what can you get better at. When we talk about a wide and variable degree of fitness and experience, it's tough racing with people of different fitness levels, right? How are you going to pedal Johnny's bike for him? You can't. And so, maybe you can, I would more say you're not trying to help that person on race day so much as you're trying to help that person get faster, help them with their training, help them with their nutrition, but you can't force something on somebody. So you have to ask them hey, what do you think you're missing from doing better in the race? Because we've all been on teams where there's one guy who gets dropped really early and you feel bad and it's kind of awkward after the race because they're like, how'd it go? And what are you going to say back? How'd it go? I saw you got dropped. That sucks, right? It's just, nobody wants to put the other person in that awkward position. So it's hard to race with them. That's just the plain and simple the way I see it. If you get dropped, you get dropped. You just got to put in the work. Different experience. That is one thing that you can do where if you're willing to, if you have a more experienced rider, and this is really more, I would say, of you're a master's rider and you're riding in a 1, 2, 3 group. I remember one of the first A races I did, 3 guys went up the road and a guy from another team goes, you need to be in that. And I go, well, what do you mean? He goes, go. And I'm like, right now? He's like, go. And I was like, okay. And I chase these 3 dudes down, got in the break with them with his teammate. We were all in the same club. We all wanted to help each other down the road to get better for bigger races. I ended up winning that training race. It was the first A race I'd won. I was on cloud 9. Mark Paris, thank you so much. I beat Brian Cardona. It was the highlight of my week. So if you can sit back and help a racer understand the flow that we're talking about in the dance, that's how you can help them. But if it comes to physical, if they're just getting popped, they're getting popped, right? You're not going to pay somebody back every time they get dropped. So hopefully that answers that question. Hit me up if that does not. That was number 2. Number 3, this is kind of similar. Most new teams have only a few, 2 to 5 guys whose fitness and skills vary dramatically between one another. True. What are some basic ways to utilize the strengths of the strongest guys and the presence of those who are getting their fitness and race skill off the ground? If they're getting the presence is what we call pack fodder. So if they're just there, that's what they're going to be. Again, help them to find their strengths and then help them to understand how they can either improve their strengths. So if you are Cat 4 across the board, maybe you're a little bit closer to Cat 3 at 5-minute work. So trending towards VO2 max stuff. Maybe you say, hey dude, why don't you work on that? And maybe you can get up to a Cat 2 level and we'll find a race where that's really the determining factor because there's this hill or whatever. And you're kind of trying to over predict, but you're trying to help the person to get excited about their training and really develop a strength. That's one way, but to use other racers' strengths, no one really is going to have a sprinter. I think when teams are we got our sprinter here, so we're just pulling everything back. You know, a lot of Cat 4 races, one guy tries to attack, everybody chases him down, and then we sit for a little while because we're all winded, when really someone should counterattack over the top. That's your VO2 max guy, because he can go hard and he can go hard again. Having the mindset of, if someone's really good at 8 minute efforts, be like, hey dude, when those early attacks go, follow wheels, don't go super hard. That's possible. You don't have to jam the gas all the time, because what do most people do? They jam the gas and then everyone's like grabbing the brakes. Well, if you grab the brakes, you clearly went too hard. You wasted a match you didn't have to use. So have that guy understand that process and have him understand how to jump over the group. So when the couple guys go up the road, everybody chases him down, he sits in the draft, there comes that swell, and he understands what the swell looks like, and he goes flying up the road. And now he still has like 5 more minutes of just boss power. He's going away. TT guys, maybe like, yo, dude, go from the gun. People don't like starting a crit or things very fast. Oftentimes they're like clipping in, they're kind of going, and then it goes. That changes as you move up in categories. But I had been in races where people were like lollygagging. I'm like, yo, see ya. And you catch people off guard before they even know what's going on. They're like, whoa. That's not everywhere, but that can work somewhere. Really, though, that comes down to go race the race and talk about the race afterwards and think of where could I have done something different that would have helped my team with my strength. I think that, though, the big point is, if you're just there and you're just getting your fitness, you need to get your fitness in the group ride, in the training race. Getting your fitness by racing is great. You'll do it. You're just not going to be a big contributor to the team, and you need to be okay with that. And don't be, if you're sour Johnny because your teammates are better than you because they've trained more, that's just what this sport is. It's putting in time. Don't be mad at them, and don't feel insulted that you're not in the like, how are we going to win this thing conversation, because you can't win yet, and that's okay. Put in the time, put in the work. Like, that's literally what happened to me when I went to my first Cat 4 race, and I will never forget. It was a training race. I like got to move up from the Cat 5s, and I was like super pumped, and I was super nervous, and it was like lap 4, maybe like 35 miles in. I just watched the group right away. I just couldn't keep up, and I was like, damn, maybe I'm just not as fast as these guys. And luckily, other people are like, oh, you just got to keep riding. You just got to keep training. Like, this is how this race went, and there's going to be these other races, and you need to train this, and you look into it, and you learn more. It's a really long journey, and everybody, I shouldn't say everybody, a lot of people want to get it in a year, and I silently laugh at them when they're like, you know, I'm going to conquer the world in a year. If you can, that's amazing. Don't let me be the guy to hold you back. But if you don't, still be willing to put in the work the next year and continue to grow. All right. Okay, question 4. Usually for these new teams, and I like how I put them in parentheses, there's no real plan at all, which I'm actually okay with. They figure their chances are better because they have more people in the race, no coordinated attacks or field policing. And while we say field policing, blocking is not actual physical blocking. Don't be a D and just be like, can't get around me. That's not blocking. Sometimes they even chase down their own brakes, dragging the field back up to the front. Seems like a lot of simple mistakes with new teams. Everybody's trying to win. Nobody does well except the competing organized team. So I don't know if it's a competing organized team, because I think lower category teams plan way too much. I've coached people where they're going into a race with 12 guys and like, well, I'm in the break this week, so everyone's riding for me. And I'm like, really? You guys have already mapped this race out. Now, granted, if you're super aggressive in a Cat 4 race, you can get in the break because you're just going to force the break. But a lot of times that now leaves 11 other dudes who are like, well, what do we do? Right? So if you don't know what he's talking about when it's field policing, your teammate goes up the road. What's going to happen eventually? Someone's going to try and hopefully chase him down. If not, it's going to be real freaking boring, which does happen. But you're now watching for other people to go, and you get on their back wheel and just draft. And when they flick their elbow, you say, sorry, my teammate's up the road, and you get a free ride up to your teammate. So to the first point, when there's a team that plans, I don't understand why the plan would ever be it's always one person in the break. You should say, if you have 12 people, hey, we don't roll unless we have 3 dudes in the break. Like, we are stacking this thing. We want it to be 7 people, and we want 4 of our teammates in there. Because guess what? Say you make that plan and 3 people get in the break, just be like, yeah, we're not riding. And don't be the guy, if you're on the other team, that's yelling and barking and bitching and moaning because you don't tell other people how to race. That's part of racing, is like, you don't know what their game plan is. You don't know who they might be racing for, what's on the line with their team. Like, race your race. So I would say scrap the plan, except for if you say, okay, hey, this team's got this mountain bike dude. He's super strong. We probably don't want to ride with him because he's going to beat us all at the end. How do we beat him? And ganging up on somebody is bike racing. If someone super strong comes without a team and you have 12 guys, I don't care how strong he is, you should be able to beat him in a 4-5 race or a 3-4 race, hands down. Unless he's crazy stronger. Throw a guy up the road. He has to chase that guy down while you are all on his wheel. Someone counterattacks. He has to go again. Someone different counterattacks. Eventually, unless he is just that much stronger that he can string it out and drop you on the flats, eventually he tires and one of your guys gets away and then another guy and another guy. The only thing that I would say is don't do it just to one guy. Like, usually there's not some freak in the race. There's other teams. So other teams are going to send your wheel and counterattack you guys. So that's why bike racing is crazy, because everyone's trying to do that to everybody else. And when there's 20 different teams, there's just a lot of stuff going on. It's a big chess match. So no coordinated attacks. I think that would be more stacking the break, field policing, making sure if someone goes up the road, one of your guys goes. Never let something go up the road without your team. That's what you see in the tour, right? It's like, oh, they missed the break, now they have to chase. If you miss the break and there's a big enough team that missed it, no one's going to chase it down except for your team. So if I'm not being clear about that, let me know. This is like we should, if people want to do like a live Q&A, everyone always says like if you listen to like Gary Vee and stuff, like go live. I just don't think that many people would participate. If we wanted to have a live session with like Q&A, questions, tactics, I'll get Wally in here. And that'd be awesome. Sometimes they even chase down their own breaks. I sometimes don't think people understand what they're doing. They're trying to bridge to the break, which is fine. It's okay to bridge up to get a free ride to your teammate. That's better because now you have another card to win unless your teammate's by himself. If your teammate's up the road and he's with one other guy, that's a 50% chance. Don't you want 2 more guys up there with maybe one other guy? So now it's 3-on-2. But don't get on the front and drag your teammate back. I really have no answer for why that happens. It is very mystifying. Everybody tries to win. Nobody does well except the competing organized team. That's the problem with Cat 5, Cat 4. Not the problem. That is an issue because everyone is trying to get upgrade points. So that's a beautiful thing when you have 1s and 2s on a team. Everyone's just trying to get the team to win because everyone's like they're all like really close with fitness. So it's now just like, all right, which team's going to work the best and win? And when you're on a team, when everyone really understands like the W is everyone's W, that's bike racing. That's incredible. That's one reason why when people are like, I want to hang back and win this Cat 4 Omnium, it's like, dude, upgrade, like get better, get faster, start really racing. You're only winning because you're physically better than the other guys. That's not bike racing. That's like a fitness competition. So there's a difference. And I'm not saying that to hate on people that do that. Maybe I am. I don't know. I just think you should strive higher. I think way more people can be 1s and 2s if they just start thinking about the sport and thinking, how can I get this much better at this part of my game? And how can I improve this part of my game? And I'm training 12 hours. I know there's another hour there somewhere. Like, this sport is optimization and testing things. So, all right, that's episode 3. Next will be Johnson City Omnium, unless I get derailed again. And we'll go from there. Hit me up with your questions, Brendan at EVOQ.BIKE. Please share this if it's beneficial. See ya.